What is up, Ham Radio? Kilo Echo 8 Papa Zulu November, the Ham Radio Adventure Guy. Thanks for stopping by, your one stop for everything Adventure Radio. It is Hump Day. That means it's time for the Hump Day Happy Hour. Got a great stream tonight. I'm actually jealous of tonight's guest because, I would love to have what he's going to show us here tonight, but it's going to be an awesome stream. Before we get started, we're going to give a shout out to our Patreons because if it wasn't for them guys, I don't know what I would do with my life. Actually, I'd probably not be in the POTA park as much. I can guarantee you that for sure. And then we're going to give a shout out to the YouTube members as well. And if you're a YouTube member and don't know what your extra benefits are in a Discord, please message myself, Dan, or Hayden so we can get you squared away. And then the update to the Adventure Club. Once again, a little bit of moving and shaking thanks to Bruce, India, Charlie Papa for the off-stream donation today. And Josh still holding on to the top spot, but people moving and shaking everywhere around other than him staying in the top spot.
Love.
Thank you very much for each one of you. All right, Dan, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great. This weather is phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so. If I lived where you were, I probably would think it's phenomenal too. But
no, it's cold for here, dude, because we're not built for this stuff. If it gets below freezing, we don't know what to do.
Yeah. I know. Mom told me it's like gonna be in the 40s. I'm like, cool.
Your mom was like your mom was like it's 66. I got to find my parka.
At 66, she was cold the other day, but she said it's supposed to get in the 40s, and she was freaking out. I'm like, 40s? I'll be outside activating with no jacket on. What are you talking about?
I'm excited for today's stream. That's for sure. I can't wait for this.
I am too. As a matter of fact, the last time we were in the 40s was that day that I did the activation when it was really, really windy and stuff. And even with all that wind, it was still warm too. Anyway, Chris, welcome to the stream.
Thank you.
Before we get started on your amazing looking shack, go ahead and give us a little brief description on what got you started in ham radio and what got you doing it portable like this.
Wow, that's a loaded question. I got started at the age of 11, I think. Somewhere in the mid 80s. That's when I first got licensed. Was into CB stuff probably at 7 and 8 years old. Got my ham ticket in 87. And went to field day as one of my first events and was hooked on radio and hooked on wanting to do it portable. I then got into contesting, but I don't live in a very good spot for competing against the good guys, so I had to go portable to get out of the valley. I live in the mountains of Vermont. I've got hills all the way around me, sharp peaks, so kind of hard to get a signal out of here. So if you don't have the money to buy property on a hillside somewhere, the next best thing is move your station to where you can. That's where I got into mobile and portable operations.
So that's actually kind of interesting. We both sort of have the same problem because here in West Virginia, I spend a lot of time in the valleys with steep hills all around me, and they're in close, and that's why most people catch me on 40 meters because it's about the only thing I got a decent skip on.
Yep.
I do 20 meters if I'm down in the valley. Yeah, it'll get out, but all it'll do is DX. It won't cover anybody in the States. And where I do parks in the air, all the people in the States are wanting me. So, I feel your pain with that. So I'm definitely glad somebody knows what I'm talking about when it comes to that.
Well, I think in life you got to look at your problems and find a way to think outside of the box. In this case, outside of the ham shack to solve your issues, instead of staying in shack and complaining that you don't have a good enough station, you don't have the right location and whatnot. The solution's out there. You just have to think outside of the shack.
Absolutely. Or in your case, think inside your new shack, right?
Yeah, I like to think the world is my ham shack, and in some photos that I'll show you coming up, I'll show you why I think the world is my ham shack or your ham shack.
I definitely I'm going to agree with you because I it is a rare occasion that I ever do any contacts from inside my house. Everybody knows this. Like I just don't do it. And in fact, I don't even have a radio hooked up right at the moment because I got in a little bit ago from being outside activating, and I ain't even hooked nothing back up. But uh, I, when I first started, the reason I got my general was to do parks in the air, and the reason I wanted to do parks in the air was because I found out I could be outdoors doing ham radio. So
It is. I have to add, it's so fitting that Stealth GTI is in the chat.
absolutely,
Oh,
This is awesome.
yeah. He actually has an amazing portable shack. I'm not sure if you know him or not, but he's been on the stream before. He's got a little tiny, well, he's got a Stealth GTI that he's got maxed out with.
I, I
I don't even know how much stuff he's got in that thing. It's crazy.
I definitely follow him. I love his installs. They are very clean and neat, and he's got a good thing going there for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. He's got. I met him down in Orlando of last year, and I've talked to him ever since, and he's got a great setup. So I look forward to seeing some more of yours tonight.
Hmm.
So you didn't start with the van. Wait a minute. Do you want to start with slides or do you want to start with?
Yeah, no, you can however you want.
Okay. So you didn't start with the van. You started with a progression pretty much when you decided you were going portable. And tell us a little bit about your progression and what made you want to change each time.
So my progression really has gone over a long period of time. I am a very antsy person who can't sit still, but yet I love amateur radio. And traditionally, amateur radio is sitting at a desk and tuning through the dials. And I just don't have the patience for that. I got to be moving and doing something. So back years ago, I used to work in the ski industry and I'd operate a snowcat, climbing these hills and grooming. So I'd start bringing a radio with me, and I'm up at 4,000 feet, and started finding all kinds of people wanted to work me, um, and that led into installing things into my truck, and then taking the truck to higher places, and then getting into VHF contests. Well, how much stuff can I cram into my truck? And then the truck got so I was out out outgrown my truck, too much stuff. So I moved on to a military communications shelter that I towed with my truck. Um, this all came coincide with having a wife that's really not into all the antennas in the backyard and such like that. So now I could have a shack that I could park in the backside of the property in the woods where it wasn't seen, plug it into a Cat5 cable, a and power cable, and either go out there and operate, or with the Flex here, I can do the same thing from the house. So um, that grew to um, basically the moon and Pisces was aligned when I came across this van and thought it was too good to be true. Um, and finally picked it up this October from New York City and drove it back. Well, didn't drive it back, trailered it back. And this so far has been, I couldn't ask for anything better, um, other than getting the engine to run a little bit better because it's been sitting for a long time. Um, no rust on this thing. It's been stored inside, air conditioned in the summer, heated in the winter. It's only got 50,000 miles on it, so this has been perfect so far.
Yeah, it sounds like you get a really nice setup, especially the flex. Me and you backstream were talking about flexes, so
yeah. The flex has changed everything for my my world, being an active person but also having an active family, kids in soccer. I travel the whole state for work. I'm on the road all the time. If there's DX to be had, I get an alert on my phone, log into my van sitting at home, work the station, and now I'm back off to doing what I'm doing. Can't get easier than that.
Yeah, that is awesome. James, you back with us? You look kind of frozen on the screen.
Maybe maybe my temperatures got down there too much and frozen.
The gremlin monsters have gotten to West Virginia, that's for sure. That is awesome. See if he comes back here in just a minute. Did you have any pictures that you want to show of your past shacks or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. Let's see if I hit present here.
Yeah, I can pop them on here.
Let's see. Share screen.
Hey, Cody. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Eddie? That's right, Chris. It's mine now. I know James was when he gets back, he might go into it. He was looking to get something that he can tow behind too to have radio gear in, maybe like a little pop-up kind of thing.
All right. Can you see my screen?
No, I can't. You need to present and then share screen.
Let me.
And it should pop up there where I can see it. The West Virginia dial-up. Yeah, that's probably what it is. That's for sure. Everything probably froze up there, Cody, because he said it was in the teens. There you go. I see it now. Yeah,
all right.
All right, let me add it to there. All right, here we go.
Let me know when I'm up.
You are up.
All right. This has nothing to do with my van, but figured I'd show this because I think I've got the best job in the world for my hobby. I maintain all the communications for the state of Vermont, for police, fire, and EMS, 911 dispatching, all of that. I spend my life pretty much on mountaintops and dealing with RF. So let me skip here. So
that being your day job as well, it's probably fair to say the engineering in that van is top notch.
Well, it is and it isn't. I'm cheap, so I get things out of dumpsters and fix it. So I've got a lot of stuff crammed into this van. It is going to be fully top notch. Right now, some stuff is just sitting in place while I route cables and stuff like that. I did a lot of installation in a very short period of time, all of it done in the parking lot of my Vermont house here, no garage or anything. So it's been cold. So sometimes The wires aren't perfectly wire loomed and stuff like that yet, but they will be. It's work in progress.
Thank you, Chris, for the $2 super chat. James must be streaming from Eddie's house. Yeah. Now he said his power flickered. He'll be back in a minute. So. He needs a battery. I wonder where he can get one of those.
Should I wait for James?
No, go ahead. The van.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks cool.
So this is the van before I got it. It was a ex-NBC News van. A few things that are unique to this van, unlike other TV news vans, is it has two masts. Most of them usually only have one. The rear mast goes up to just shy of 50 feet, and the front mast goes up to around 38 feet. This is the way the van was before I arrived in New York City to pick it up. The other side here, it's got a connection for 110 in and out. The box here is all of my internet in and out and that sort of thing. The cabinet below it has its own 7K generator on board that sips fuel off its own tank.
Nice.
And here's the roof, which is kind of cool. So you've got the two masts. All the cables for your antennas go in these yellow curly Q pieces of plastic. So there is no setup. When I arrive at a park or I like Vermont, QSO parties, state QSO parties, I press a button and the towers go up. They're all running on pneumatic compressed air. So no setup of required for any coax cables. The other thing about the roof of this is there is 18 NMO mounts. So that gives me a lot of space for mobile radios here in the van. And in the van, I'm running VHF DMR, UHF DMR, VHF P25, UHF P25, 900 megahertz. I've got a VHF repeater in here, a UHF repeater, Moto Turbo repeater for DMR. I've got pretty much every band there is out here, and lots of antenna real estate. The rear of the van down here in New York City, you can see there's no rust on this thing. Like I said earlier, it was parked indoors and very finely maintained up until COVID.
How many miles did it have on it when they sold it?
50,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah. So this spent its life in New York City as kind of the reporting on hot news. So they would drive around the city, monitor all the police scanners and whatnot, and try to be first on scene.
Right.
The other thing unique about this van is it's a 1997. It was designed to talk to the World Trade Center. So World Trade Center would have a microwave setup up there to uplink and downlink, and they would drive around the city, report on the news, and uplink to the World Trade Center. Here's the van as of a few weeks ago before it started snowing. Still working on getting equipment mounted, playing with where each thing is going to go. I want it to be very ergonomic. Just as I'm really into contesting, and just as a athlete does not want to make any extra moves to make them more tired, I want to be able to go for 24 hours at a time and not get exhausted. So I've been really playing with where the keyboard sits, where the monitor is, where the microphone is. Can I reach the antenna switches? Can I reach the amplifiers? All of that, right down to the coffee pot and the refrigerator and the microwave. I can reach all from where the main seat is. And I've been playing playing with that quite a bit. Here's a little bit closer up of the inside. Not everything is exactly where it is in this photo. I've been moving things around a little bit. I'm up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 monitors right now. So the monitor directly in front of me would be for logging. My Flex radio is on the left in this picture, and the other monitors, which you cannot see on the screen, are for FT8, so I can run SO2R, I've run up to SO5R before, running 5 HF bands on FT8 all at the same time. Just to the right here, you can kind of see the caution sticker for the classic antenna caution sticker there. That is my microwave. Below the microwave is a refrigerator, and just to the left of that is a Keurig coffee maker. So trying to make this so I don't need to get up for anything unless of nature calls. Let's skip over here. Let's see. So here's a picture of the mast in the up position. The antennas on the front right now we're just for testing. That is my satellite rotor. So those will be eventually set up for chasing satellites for VHF and UHF. And on the rear mast is a 6-meter antenna. All my go ahead.
Both the masts are different height. How tall are each?
The back one is about 48 feet and the front one is 38 feet. However, if I want to do just HF contesting, I do have a 20-foot extension to go on the rear and get it up 60 some odd feet.
Wow.
Which is kind of pushing what I should be doing with it, but it's worked to hang a dipole. Where that comes into play is if I do the 160 contest, I'll run just one dipole antenna off the very top of that and try to find myself in a position where the ground slopes off both sides. So electrically speaking, I am much higher than the 60 feet.
Yeah, that's right, James. You run single operator 5 radio. That's 1,000 contacts in an afternoon. Pretty easy, isn't
it? So the way I do the multiple radios at the same time is both these masts would have dipoles coming off them. The front mast is my 20, 15, and 10-meter masts with dipoles hanging off those. And the rear is 160, 80, and 40. And when these masts are in the down position, the dipoles are just coiled up right on the side of the van. They never come off the van. I can pull up to a site, uncoil them, and press a button. The masts go up, and I just bring the legs of these dipoles out into a inverted V situation and tie them off to a tree or a guardrail or something.
That's the way to set up an antenna.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is work in progress here. This is the front. There is a bunch of wires showing and some rust here and there. These are recycled parts, but this is my P25 VHF, UHF, and 900 meg radios, as well as my DMR radios up front. I also have a computer up front, so I can access the Flex radio while driving down the road. Through this photo in, this is one of the state parks up here in Vermont. This is from the summit of Burke Mountain, which is a state park looking up into Lake Willoughby. And another state park, Alice State Park, just down the road from me. When you start hearing me do a lot of POTA stuff, this is my go-to park. This is about 20 minutes down the road for me. And this is the view from my favorite operating position, just up the road behind my house, looking out at Camel's Hump. In addition to the van, I know I'm kind of going a little bit fast here, but my old vehicle was the Toyota Tundra, decked out with the same equipment. If you could imagine all that equipment jammed into a Toyota Tundra. And I would do things like the VHF contest up on Mount Washington, which is the highest peak in the Northeast. Half of it's above Timberline. Here's my truck setup.
Okay, yeah. So I have a Tundra as well.
Okay.
It's the 2012 model year.
Yeah.
So what is that? The second gen, third gen?
This is a 2011.
Okay, so it's the same generation as what you got. Did you just not have a back seat, or did you have a tonneau cover and use the bed of the truck for your equipment, or what?
No, so there was two configurations. I'll go the last configuration first. In the rear of the truck is a 60/40 bench seat. I've removed the 40 part, which is on the passenger side, and I mounted a 19-inch rack there from the floor to the ceiling, stuck all of my equipment. I could operate from the rear, or I found if I sat in the driver's seat and put the seat all the way back, I could reach all those radios. I didn't need to reach them that much, except for some tuning and stuff like that, because I was mostly running a contest where everything was controlled off the computer, which sat on a Havis Shields police console computer mount in the front. And then between the seats, that seat between the seats I removed, and that's where the rest of my radios went.
Very nice.
That was the second gen of that configuration. The first, which I think is the first gen was what this photo is taken of, and the photo doesn't do it justice, but in the rear of the truck, in the bed of the truck, is a 19-inch rack waterproof case. And I've had everything mounted in there that could be mounted in there. Stuff I didn't need to touch. VHF and UHF amplifiers, HF amplifiers, switching and transverters and stuff like that. So I didn't need to touch it. But it would be waterproof and get it outside. Here I'm running 6 meters, 2 meters, and 432. And from 6,000 feet, you can reach out and touch somebody.
Is that a black Tundra?
No, it's dark gray. There will be some more photos here. Oh. This is looking forward on it. I had a 6-meter loop and a 2-meter, what's called a 2-meter big wheel on the front for operating while driving. And here's another view of the same photo. This was in QST just last month, under the Andrea's article on VHF contesting. There's the box that I was talking about in the back that housed a lot of the amplifiers and stuff like that. And just threw this one in because Mount Washington is home to the world's worst weather. The first time I ran this truck up there was at the beginning of COVID, and I had a special permit to spend the whole night. And I was the only one up there other than the observatory staff, which was in a locked room. No tourists, nothing. Very eerie to be up there at 2:00 in the morning, watching the weather go by and the stars and everything all by yourself. Just a few more photos of that. And on to my other ham shack. So I used to work full-time in the ski industry, grooming ski trails, and still do part-time, 1 day a week, just because I like it. And so I'd operate sometimes on the mountain, take my lunch break on the summit, and work VHF. FM from the summit. Really fun, and even more fun when you can log into your van or your home station with the Flex. So I would have my phone running the Flex, and I could get on a contest. I'm not going to rack up many points, but can work that rare DX if I see it spotted or whatnot, right there from inside the cat. Now, I've never done this, but this is one of the cats that I've operated. It's called a winch cat. It's made for grooming super steep stuff, and you hold yourself up with a cable. And that cable's 2,000 feet long, and that tower actually rotates above the cat 360 degrees. So I've always wanted to load it up for 160, but working the job, it's tough to you got a lot of terrain to get done in the middle of the night and no time to really do that. But
you could tune it by driving forward or backwards too.
Exactly.
I like this idea, man.
Exactly. So 2,000 feet of cable down a mountainside. I always just wanted to know, what will it do?
I'm your huckleberry.
Exactly.
Some other photos from my other operating position. Very cozy. It'll be 30 below zero outside, and you're nice and cozy inside. That's pretty much the end of my little slideshow here. I kind of ran through them fast, but one last one here. This I was showing you guys before the chat. I wish I could send you guys this. This is a friend sent me this beer. This is made from zero gravity. It's called I Am a Radio. And being a ham operator, I just had to get it. So I'm going to exit this screen and
all right,
go back to stop sharing. Am I back to normal?
You are back to normal, sir.
All right.
James, welcome back, man. Did you enjoy the trip?
I did, man. I did.
Very nice.
Trip.
Very
so,
nice.
So yeah, it's always a wonderful thing when the electric flips in the middle of a live stream. You got to reboot everything. I tried to get it to come back up really quick with my phone internet, and it just wasn't enough to do it. I guess you seen me come back on and not really be there, but full reset and then the router reset, and I'm back, and I enjoyed what I seen of the slideshows.
You didn't miss much of it. Just a couple of pictures when he first picked it up in New York, and basically what it looked like before he worked the magic on it.
So it's great because I did get to see the end of it there for sure, and a lot of people will hunt me while they're at work. And I've always thought, it's always interesting to see, the radio from work thing. Like Terry used to run up the flights of steps to the parking building to go out to his car to hunt me and stuff like that. But I don't think nobody's ever can say that they've ever done it from a machine made for working on ski trails. That's pretty awesome.
So there's a lot more in this van than I've touched at. I don't know if you want me to continue and go on the fill you guys in on the rest of what this van will do, but I can give you kind of a inventory if you want.
I'm all for a tour, that's for sure.
Well, kind of hard to do a tour with my laptop resting on my knees here, but as I said before, from where I'm sitting, which is behind the driver's seat, I can swivel 360 degrees. I've got 3 19-inch racks here, and another one next to me. That's where all my radio equipment is kept, as well as the refrigerator, microwave, and coffee pot. In the back, I've got enough space for a bed. I built a little loft in the back with a bed, and there's a computer back there. with that computer, I can log into the Flex up front. So you're working a contest or POTA, you're getting tired, you don't want to quit quite yet. You can hop into the back and settle down for the night and still work a little FT8 or see if a band opens. And in the morning, before getting out to the front of the van, you can see, is it worth it? Are the bands opening up and whatnot? I've got a full assortment of radios for VHF and UHF. I've got for HF, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 HF radios. So I could operate them all at once, like I have in the past for FT8, or field day, for an example. I could have somebody hop in and operate one radio and hop out and go to a park bench and operate the Flex from there. I am working on putting a second Flex in here so 2 people outside could be operating and a third inside. That's about it, except for, I guess, the repeaters as well. VHF and UHF and link radios that I'm installing as well. If I want to do a public service event, a bike-a-thon or something like that, we need a repeater out in the woods of Vermont where there's no coverage. I can throw up a repeater on a 50-foot mast and have the other mast set up with a link going back to the main repeater system. So how do you deal with interference or electric noise? Oh, good question. I was lucky enough to come across some ferrite beads in a dumpster once. And there was 2 5-gallon buckets full of ferrite beads. I can't tell you how many ferrite beads are in this.
That sounds like my kind of dumpster.
If there is a wire in this truck, it has 2 or 3 ferrite beads on it. Behind this rack system, you access from the rear. You open up the rear doors and climb over my bed, and you're accessing the rear of all of these 19-inch racks. Every cable there has multiple ferrite beads in it. Everything in here is grounded together. I know I don't have a good earth ground, but everything at least has a common ground. As far as interference, I have bandpass filters. If I'm running 100 watts or less, bandpass filters work great. If I run the amps, not so much. I have 2 amplifiers down here, so I could run SO2R with 1 amp is good for 1200 watts, the other is 800 watts. So I could run one on VFO A and one on VFO B. So I'm still playing with the interference in between those, but usually I'm transmitting only on one at a time.
Yeah, I would probably do some damage in that van. You're correct there.
You run high power, James?
No. They know I like to travel and do parks on the air.
Oh, yep.
So
I'm
definitely in that van. I would love to. I'd love to have something like that for my southern Utah trip. That would be great. I would destroy half of the country.
I am very new to parks on the air. I came across it. I've known about it for years, but I really got started to say this might be my niche back when I picked up the van, and have not activated a park yet, mostly because every night and weekend has been spent out here in the cold working on this van to get it perfect for going out and doing that stuff. But give me another couple weeks, I'll be out. I'm hoping, maybe I'm wishful thinking, but I'm hoping to do each park as a kilo activation and setting my standards on 1,000 per park. We'll see. Maybe that's high hopes.
Well, you also I heard you talk a lot about being up on summits and stuff like that. Have you ever thought about summits on the air as well?
I have. I am into hiking. I hike for work and stuff like that. And thinking about getting into that, I'm thinking about putting together a little SOTA package. Um, I do have some questions about summits on the air. I know you used to have to climb the mountain to have it be legal. I'm not sure if that's still the case. I am on 4,000-foot peaks all the time. I cover Canadian border to Massachusetts, maintaining radio equipment. So I'm on the mountains all the time in my truck, which also has HF. So if that's legal to operate from a vehicle, as long as you're on the summit, I'll definitely get into it.
Well, you can't activate from your vehicle, but you can drive up to the summit. You just have to
Okay.
be away. You and your equipment has to be away from your vehicle.
Okay. Well, that's doable.
So,
Got a comment from the other crazy.
the crazy.
Oh,
the
stealth
crazy-
GTI.
Yeah, the
I
other
didn't
crazy
look
one
at
in the chat
photographs,
here.
but I hate photo. I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So how many people when you're just out doing radio in your van? Do you hear a knock at the door saying, "What are you doing in there?"
Yeah. So this is bringing. I've been keep thinking about this every night. How I want to deal with this. I am torn between two things. I really want this van to be a um, conversation piece, to be able to talk to people about what amateur radio is. I want to go and have people say, "What is that?" and be able to explain to them and get more people interested in amateur radio. And I think that it sticks out like a sore thumb and can do that. On the other hand, I'm a contester, and I really want to stay on the radio going at this. So my daughter, who's 14, has been doing a lot of ham events with me, and I can see her playing a role in talking to the public, handing out some brochures, stuff like that. Um, so I'm torn there. I think some of the events I'll go out and I'll be low key and try to really score well in the contest. And then Parks on the Air, for an example, isn't a contest. It's more of just a challenge for me. So I feel the doors will be open to the van, and I'll stop and talk to anybody who comes by. The other big project with this van is I want to go to elementary and high schools and show them what amateur radio is. You want to talk off a satellite? Right here. Let's do it right now, and not have that whole setup tear down, which kind of is a turnoff in a way if you want to go do a 20-minute talk at a school, but it takes you an hour and a half or so to set up and tear down. That cuts into your day. But if someone can call me up and say, "Hey, can you stop by?" Yep, on my way. Let's do it. My daughter does not have a call sign yet. She's working on her license, and I'm not pushing her. She's very interested. I don't want her to push her to get the license, thinking she might um, get onto other things if she's pressured into it. I want her to make that decision.
That's the same. That's the same thing I did with mine. Don't make it. I put the bug in the ear, but I didn't push it any further than that because I don't want it to make it feel to them as if it might be an obligation.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So have you ever got any just outrageous questions where you just had to bite your lip to keep from saying something back stupid to them?
I should start writing them down. I worked in the ski industry and I wrote them down for years. And got some funny ones from the ski industry, not as many from radio, except for my military communications truck which was all painted black. So it was this black cube with all these antennas pointed off it. And one lady asked me if I was trapping bear. She wanted to know if it was to trap nuisance bear. I've had all kinds of questions for.
Has anybody ever asked you if you were looking for elk?
Oh, yeah. No,
No.
no elk here in New England.
Okay.
But in the ski industry, I've been asked at what altitude do deer turn into elk, which was a comical question.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
So Dan's asking about the elk because I run a 31-foot vertical off the back of my vehicle.
Yeah.
And at my home park here, most of the time I'm on one side of the hill activating, but every now and then I'm on the other side. So I've had the same guy twice within maybe a week and a half time period pull up beside me and ask me if I'm tracking elk.
Yep.
The same guy. And both times I've told him ham radio. But the next time he asks me, I swear I'm going to say, no, I'm tracking otters. I'm like, I give up. I've done told you twice, buddy.
You got to come up with a rare extinct species that you're tracking.
The funniest thing I think is I'm just waiting for a time to do it. And I've said it before in the live stream. I'll say it again. If somebody asks me if I'm doing something crazy when I'm in the park, I'm just going to look at them square and be just so dead faced and shocked looking, just like, you can see me. Just to see if they just start running.
I've had a run in just up the road from me. I live on a mountain pass that connects the valley I live in to the Sugarbush ski area valley, filled with a lot of out-of-staters with their second homes and whatnot. And I very commonly, with my old vehicle, park up there because it's great RF location. It's sitting at 2,600 feet above sea level, and great spot to just really quickly, 5-minute drive, be set up and operating. So I had a curious neighbor who lived on the side of the road up there ask me, what are you doing? And I explained to him. He was very nervous because of the Yagi antennas, wondering if I was getting into their Wi-Fi, if I was trying to steal stuff. and I explained what amateur radio was. He heard me make a few contacts, and this developed into a really nice rapport that I thought I had going on. Maybe this guy's going to get into amateur radio. I go up the next day for the second part of the contest. And he approaches me again, now telling me his neighbors are enraged that I was up there. And they were worried. So I don't go up there nearly as much anymore.
You're going to have people claim that power lines are killing their livestock. Yep. You know what I mean? So,
yep.
You know.
Yeah, I've got some good questions with the 31-foot vertical, but I couldn't imagine, like yourself and Scott, the questions you guys got. Scott has the best story with NCIS coming out to talk to him.
Yeah,
that one's up there.
Where I get most of my looks is I live on the only road that I know of that has 3 cover bridges in a row. And the cover bridges have a strict height limit of 12 feet. Otherwise, you're going to destroy the bridge. This van is sitting at 11.6 with the antennas in the downward position. And I get a lot of looks when I go through that bridge that thinking I'm going to take something out. But I designed it specifically. I went down there, parked the van in the bridge, and brought everything up to right where I felt comfortable, 6 inches below, and built everything from there down.
How did you design your van? Well, I pulled down there in the bridge and seen what would fit.
Yep.
That's great. All right. Anybody in the chat got some more questions? Let's see if they do. So yeah, I think you're sitting on a gold mine for POTA myself. If I, now don't get me wrong. In the summertime, I can't stand to be in my vehicle activating, and I want to be out of the picnic bench or on a trail hiking or something like that. But in the winter, to have something like that as compared to sitting in my vehicle like I do, I would be in absolute heaven. Let me tell you.
Well, you have heat because of the radio equipment, I assume, some amplifiers and things like that. What about air conditioning?
Air conditioning right here above here. So I've got air conditioning. I also have heat, and I have a thermostat. Everything is tied to. So I keep it about 50 degrees in here when I'm during the day, and then when I come in to operate, I just crank it up. Earlier, well, right now it's sitting at 69 degrees inside, and I got 14.5 degrees outside. So, that's the other thing is all the walls in this van have soundproofing in it, and that soundproofing I think is working as insulation. And I have added insulation going on the windows. I took this one off just for the video tonight, but I've got these custom curtains that are 6 inches thick, made out of foam that go on the windows and the front, so I can close off every piece of glass in here to keep it warm and to keep it cool.
Mike wants to know how you power everything.
I forgot to mention.
It's funny that he asked that because I was going to ask if you guys touched on power while I was going.
No, so I got a few ways to power it. I can plug it into the house. I can plug it into shore power. It has its own 7K generator on board, which sips gasoline right out of the main tank. Where it sips gasoline from the main tank is a few inches shy of the bottom, so I will lose the generator before I lose enough gas to get home.
Right.
I also have a rack of batteries on board. Pardon me because I don't have the exact specifics, but I'm pushing around 1,000 amp hours of battery power on here. So the thought is, I designed it that way for a reason. I want to run the generator to run high power and stuff, but they don't want generators running at a park at night. So at night, I can shut the generator off, go down to shut the amplifiers off, go down to a traditional 100 watts, and run all night long. Nobody's going to hear me because it's battery power. As soon as I turn the generator back on, things will charge back up.
So Paul wants to know if it's, or so Paul has a question, then I actually have a question. Is it gas or diesel powered?
Unfortunately, it's gas. I am going through an engine problem right now where I've got to replace some spark plugs. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I'm getting 4 miles to the gallon. Okay. When things are running correctly, I should get 10 miles to the gallon. I really wish it was diesel, though. So
now,
diesel.
All right, gas and diesel kind of led into my question that I have. Is how much does it weigh?
Oh, a lot.
Completely. How much does your van weigh?
Yeah. I don't know. I do know NBC Studios stopped running it with their gear because it was over DOT specs. However, their gear and my gear is two different things.
Right.
I gutted this thing of their equipment, so this thing lost a lot of weight. I'm not sure. I'm gonna drive over to the landfill, which weighs trucks going in and out, and I'll get an actual weight for you.
Yeah, it would be really nice to know, because when he asked if it was gas or diesel powered, the first thing that popped in my head was, I hope diesel, because it weighs probably 18 tons.
It is heavy. Yes, that's for sure. The rear tires on this were swapped out, or the axle was swapped out for bigger wheels and bigger tires in the back, just because of the weight.
Yep.
So it sits kind of pointing downhill.
That's right. Stephen, thanks for your super chat, Boo. Let's see. Do you recommend any companies for custom rack panels, rack rails, or panels for radios? So if you wanted to take a radio and mount it into a 19-inch rack.
Oh, you're looking for 19-inch rack stuff.
Specifically for like a DX10 or something like that, like a Yaesu radio.
Yeah. So most of the racks I've come by is like State Surplus and stuff like that. There's some electronic surplus places. There's one over in New Hampshire that's great. They have a ton of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as mounting the actual radio in it, I'm going through the same problem right now. I want all my stuff to be rack mount, and it's not all rack mount. Some of it is sitting on rack shelves, 19-inch rack shelves, and I plan on teaming up with a local here who's very good at metal fabrication and create face plates for each piece of equipment to go into that 19-inch rack. It took me quite a while to find a refrigerator that fits into a 19-inch rack, a microwave that fits into a 19-inch rack, and so forth. So don't really have a source for you other than look out there at all the State Surplus stuff you can find.
Yeah, good deal. Any other questions from the chat? We're going to start wrapping it up here. It is almost the top of the hour. NBC is the old Northern New York Channel 5 van. Curtis, good to see you in the chat, buddy. I hope you're doing better. David said you need an air fryer.
An air fryer. Funny you should mention that.
How about that?
I am installing a crock pot, and the crock pot will be in a container that won't get jarred around. And what I want to do is grow a YouTube channel of doing Parks on the Air. And my plan is to go to the store and make a different menu for each park, create that in the crock pot, and it will simmer right here in the back of the in the van, and be able to eat that for the 24 hours of activating a park.
That would be so brutal, though, to be very hungry and operating in there and smelling that. The whole time you have that wafting smell of everything. That would be so brutal.
That's when you got to switch over to FT8 for a while, eat
right.
while you're pecking the enter key, and then go back to voice. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from the chat before we wrap it up here? It must be cold in West Virginia, is it?
I was going to say, have I mentioned I don't like the cold weather?
Absolutely. Neither does power, right?
Come on up. We'll activate a park together. I've got a second operating position. The passenger seat swivels around, and you can activate from there as well. So,
believe it or not, I've been out every day, and we just got 10 inches of snow this week, and I've been out in it every day.
Good for you.
Yeah, I've actually been out. This is my third year running for going for every day to activate a park.
So, wow.
Yeah, sometimes I say that to myself. Wow, what am I doing?
Well, it's almost the top of the hour here. So, James, while you're here,
while I'm here, before
us up.
Before I lose power again. Oh, I'm going to have to get the internet set where it kicks onto automatic battery or something when the power flickers. So, but anyway, while I'm here, we're getting ready to head over to Patreon after chat. If you're not a Patreon and you would like to join us, you can head over to Patreon and get a free 7-day trial, and then message myself or Dan in Discord, and we'll get you into the room. Chris, you're also welcome if you have Discord to come over and join us and hang out and talk with people and answer questions. You're not obligated to, but you're welcome to come if you like. Thank everybody for any super chats that I missed while I was out playing in the dark.
And lick that like button.
Yeah, and lick that like button. Chris, you got anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, it was a good time. This is the first time I've ever been live on the internet, getting me over that hump of trying to promote my own channel and stuff like that. Anyone who wants to follow me can look me up at Lost Nation Radio on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, any of those. And I just downloaded Discord. If you want to send me a link, I'll try to hop on there. And if there's any questions or anything else,
Dan, you want to drop that link in the chat?
I am trying to find it. What's the name of your channel again?
Yeah, I'm on that. You get the Discord link.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, Discord link is in the chat. But no, I think once other people see this stream, you'll probably be invited to other places as well, because you have a very nicely done and an excellent story behind your setup as well.
Did you say Lost Station Radio?
Lost Nation Radio.
Oh, that's why I'm not finding it. There we go.
And I'm not. It's been a long time since I've been in Discord, so I could be totally wrong on that. Maybe I'm under just KI1P. Let me look myself up. Oh, I am KI1P pound 3692.
Okay, because I'm not finding your YouTube.
No, there's only one video on there right now. I just threw on just to be able to create the channel, so it's there.
Okay, but we'll get the link and we will post it in our Discord as well, and that way people can go over and subscribe and check you out later. And other than that, thanks everybody for coming tonight. I apologize once again for the power outages. If you can control the weather in West Virginia, the King has a job for you. And see everybody over on the after chat. 73, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.
7-3. Thanks for having me.